Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 2076. The topic is mindset, and the title is Dancing in the Rain. When Meredith and I got married, we exchanged vows. As part of my vows, I referenced that during our time of dating, when we were getting to know each other more intimately, exchanging our histories and inner feelings and our thoughts, that Meredith mentioned that she often felt like a dark cloud followed her wherever she went. She's had some significant trauma in her life, which would be the dark cloud that she was referencing. In our vows, I told her that although I wish I could, I can't take the cloud away. I can't stop the rain. But what I can do is to sit in the rain with her. So my vow was that she will never be alone in the rain again. To reference that vow, when Meredith and I recently bought our first home, one of the pieces of artwork that we put up in the house is a painting of two people walking under an umbrella in the rain. And what I love about the photo, it's actually an image, it's a painting. What I love about the painting is that the umbrella is orange. The reason why I love that is it's a positive color in what otherwise is a dreary image. I love that because it reminds both of us, when we go through life together and we remember our friendship and our love, that even in the hardest moments, there can still be happiness. And Meredith and I have gone through some significantly hard moments in the few short years that we've known each other. We've coming on, I believe now 5 years, like a little over 5 years of knowing each other. We got married New Year's Eve of 2020, so we're coming up on our 4th anniversary, which is amazing. I feel like I've known her forever, but also not long enough. I don't know if it'll ever feel long enough. But what was interesting was recently, just this past week, I haven't been feeling very well, which is why I've missed a few podcasts and I've had to use some things in reserves, like on social media. Basically trying to make it look like I'm still here. But I was pretty sick. So last Thursday, I got a sinus infection, ear infection. I was super congested and stuffy. I already have sleep issues due to abnormality in my throat from a birth defect. So basically being congested and stuffy, I couldn't sleep at all. So for 2 nights, I got barely any sleep, like 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours. And it was just awful. Then, out of nowhere, for no reason, I started hiccuping. And the hiccups lasted for over 48 hours. Good God. That was exhausting. It was 48 hours of hiccups. That was insane. I didn't sleep at all. If I did sleep, it was sitting straight up, and maybe I drifted for a minute or two. I have no clue. But it was 48 hours of just like annoying, miserable hiccups. I don't know if you've ever experienced a sore diaphragm, but I have, and that was odd and weird, and it's just been crazy. So it was 4 nights of absolute trash sleep, while also trying to recover from the infections, and in general, it wasn't very enjoyable. But through it, Meredith was amazing, and she sat in the rain with me. So unfortunately for her, the vows worked both ways. But she was awesome, and she helped me weather the storm. We enjoyed some laughs through the process between the hiccups. And thankfully now I'm feeling better, getting back on track. What I wanted to talk about in today's podcast is, what do we do in the rain? When life craps the bed, when it goes downhill, when it tanks, when it's nothing that we want, how do we respond? So I wanted to share some thoughts and tactics that I've learned from books and podcasts and whatnot that help me in those moments and this most recent moment that hopefully will help you. The goal is, if you're in the rain, to learn how to survive, maybe even enjoy a few laughs, find a way to dance in the rain. Number one, and this is actually probably the hardest for me, is communication and support. Often, what makes the rain unbearable is when we feel like we're alone. When we feel like no one can see us, that we don't matter, that everything's meaningless and no one knows, no one would care, just this isolative feeling. That will crush your soul, and it will make it much, much, much harder to come out of the rain if you feel like you're alone. So I would encourage you to build a support system, develop the awareness to communicate when you don't feel well. And that's momentary not feeling well, like I was just having an infection. I was just like, hey, Meredith, I feel like crap. And just having someone know that you feel like crap helps. And then they help you do the little things you're probably not going to do for yourself, like take a couple medicines, go get medicine, go to the urgent care for hiccups, which apparently they can't do anything for you. So it was helpful to have someone in the muck, in the mess with me. And I'm a very solitary type person, so that was hard for me to learn how to do. But what made it easier was Meredith is amazing, and whenever she's involved, things go better. and that's in all aspects of life. So I really would encourage, if people are feeling depressed, sad, frustrated, overwhelmed, if you're feeling in the rain, that you communicate with someone, you find support. If you have someone that you can see like face to face, like a tangible, real human, that is definitely helpful. You can also have a fur friend, a cat, dog, whatever. That actually very helpful as well. You can also find support through social media now. Like a lot of times, maybe you can reach out with some people, chit chat with some people that you haven't talked to. Even just the communication in general. So maybe you don't even tell anybody you're not feeling well, but find some old friends you haven't connected with in a while and ask them how they're doing. Just communicate with people, and just knowing that you're not alone in the world can be helpful. However you find a way to do that. The second thing is to prioritize sleep. Now I have a parenthesis here that says when you can. So, for example, in my case, I would have loved to have prioritized sleep, but I couldn't freaking fall asleep because I couldn't sit still. It was awful. Couldn't breathe, then couldn't sit still, and it was just horrendous. But sleep absolutely is one of the larger impactors on us in mental and emotional health. When you're low on sleep, you're just going to be low in everything. Low emotionally, mentally, just your pain tolerance, your tolerance for anything other than perfect just kind of goes out the window. Your tolerance for people, good gosh, that goes out the window. But when you can, prioritizing sleep is very helpful. If you're okay with medications, you can take some melatonin to help you kind of get sleepy. There are some other things out there as well. But trying to just lay in bed, close your eyes. One of the tactics I'll use when I feel like I'm not tired. Like I know I'm tired, but I kind of feel like I'm not tired, and maybe I'm not tired enough to go to bed, but I know I should go to bed, that kind of thing, is I'll lay in bed and I'll put a podcast or like a YouTube video, like an interview or something, on my phone, and I'll just close my eyes and listen. And usually I fall asleep pretty quick. It's just once we can get our eyes closed, we can get in a comfortable position, our body will then start to kind of begin the process. So sometimes people will be like, well, I don't really feel tired. And you'd be looking at them and you're like, well, you're up on your feet and you're moving around. Maybe you're doing the dishes in the kitchen. You're doing cleaning around the house. And it's like, of course you're not going to feel tired because you're freaking moving. Stop moving. Give your body a chance to relax. Give your body a chance to start the process. So that can be helpful. Getting away from screens Like I said, I close my eyes and it's kind of off to my side, so that works for me. Maybe you can do like a paper journal. We've talked about brain dumping before, gratitude journaling. Just get a pen and paper and write some thoughts out. If you're worried about the next day, write some things down that you want to remember to do the next day. If you kind of had a crappy day, try to remember some good things. Write down what you're grateful for. What were some positive things? What's something that made you smile that day? What's something that made you laugh? Just trying to think of positive things or clearing your mind can help. But also just stopping movement, getting away from the screen, closing your eyes, getting comfortable can help you fall asleep, usually a lot faster than you would think that you could if you didn't do those things. The third thing is to prioritize calories. Absolutely. When you're in the rain, when you're in the muck, in the mess, if you don't eat, you'll tend to feel crappy. Your mood will be bad, your energy will be bad, just overall everything goes worse when you don't eat. I know that when you're high stress, it's hard to eat. Sometimes you don't feel hungry. So therefore, I will drink calories in those moments, whether it's a protein shake or even just, some juice or something. One of the things I always remind myself, and I'll remind other people is we know our basal metabolic rate, the amount of calories we burn by just simply being alive. Even if we were to lay in bed, close our eyes, and do nothing, that still accounts for roughly 60 to 70% of our total daily calorie needs. Why I'm mentioning that is if I know I consume typically around, say you consume 1,500 calories or 2,000 calories or 3,000 calories, whatever it is. So you're like, okay, if I normally would have, say, 1,500 calories in a day, and I've only had 400 calories so far. If I drink a little bit of, fruit juice or a drink that has some sugars or calories in it, it is not going to make me fat because I don't even have enough calories to form body fat yet. I don't even have enough calories to fuel what I'm supposed to be doing in this moment, let alone have excess to create body fat. So I can drink my calories, which would be typically something you would think not to do. Like, oh, you're not supposed to drink your calories because they don't register the same as whole food, or it's easier to become in an excess, or it's easier to overeat. You'll hear often when people are trying to maintain lean body composition that you shouldn't drink your calories. Well, when you're under-caloried, you're not feeling well, you're in the rain, you're in the muck, you're in the mess, you can go ahead and drink calories. You can stop by Smoothie King or, a smoothie bar or create smoothies at home if you got a blender or whatever. You can drink your calories if it helps you get calories in. I would not worry about the calories, like the quality of the calories, until you start getting around like 70, 80-ish% of your total daily intake. Even then, you're totally fine. But if you want to have like a number to aim for that is undoubtedly not going to cause you a problem, would be 70 to 80% of your total calorie needs. Because even if you're sedentary, sitting in your butt, not doing much, you're still going to need about 70, 80% of your total calories of what you would typically eat. So therefore, if it's coming in the form of liquid calories, that's fine. You're fueling your immune system. You're fueling your body to do repairs, to fight off things if you're not feeling well. You're giving your body what it needs so it can become healthy. It can stay healthy. It can fight against being unhealthy. If you don't give it any calories, you're going to feel worse faster. And you're going to stay worse longer. So getting in calories, even if they are liquid calories, is totally okay. Tip number 4 is to maintain the minimums. And this is especially true in prolonged seasons or stretches of rain. So if you're in a long storm, maintaining the minimums is very helpful. There was an older podcast, 1547, titled Minimize Stress by Doing the Minimum. And that's exactly what I talked about in that podcast. If you want to find older podcasts, you can go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com. Scroll down on the homepage. There's a podcast player there that goes back 300 episodes. And we have instructions underneath that on how to find older episodes. So you can follow the instructions and just search for the number 1547. And then that podcast will come up and you can listen to it on Podbean. But minimize stress by doing the minimum is exactly what it sounds. You just do the least amount you need to do to keep things going status quo. So that way things don't backslide. You're not really worried about progress. You're just trying to maintain. If you're able to maintain during seasons of storms, that is a freaking win. That is amazing. Because then when the storm subsides, when you get a chance to catch your breath, you're coming back to where you were. You're not having to rebuild where you were. So that's very helpful. Then tip number 5 is to remember that everything comes and goes. As I've learned this later, as I just kind of getting older in life, more experiences, you learn that this is true, that there are seasons of life, good seasons, bad seasons. Everything just kind of has its rotation. That can be depressing. It can be depressing because when you have good things, you're like, damn, how long will this last? I hope this lasts. Or, you recognize that it's probably not going to, so how can I maximize this? How can I make the best of these moments? One of the simple ways that I remember this is Meredith and I recently got a dog. We got a Labrador and Pit Bull mix. Her name is Daisy, and she's the cutest dog in the world. But what I like about it is, in order for Daisy to be healthy and happy, we feed her in the morning and feed her in the evening. And each time we feed her, we know about 15 to 20 minutes after we feed her, she probably needs to go to the bathroom. So we go for a walk. And it's nice now because there's this designated time that if you don't take Daisy for a walk, she's going to go to the bathroom inside the house, which is not ideal. So you kind of have this, urgency and this importance to actually go ahead and take her outside for the walk. And then, since you have that kind of forced on you, you can take advantage of it and enjoy it. So Meredith and I actually take those walks together. So even when I feel like crap over this past week, there was a couple days where I took the walk with her. We maybe shortened the walk a little bit because I was dying. And then I would come back in the house, lay on the couch, and feel absolutely miserable, have to have ice packs on me and trying to figure out how to recover. But man, I still like the walks. I still like the time because Meredith's away from a computer, I'm away from a computer, neither one of us have our phones on us. So we get a chance to just talk. She gets to tell me about her day, her thoughts and worries, concerns. I can ask if there's anything I can do to help. It's just a nice time for us to connect. And knowing that as life progresses, we might not always have these opportunities for these walks. Might not always have the opportunity where has a chance to work virtually, from like she gets to work remote at home on some days, and then I get to do that all the time. So take advantage of those moments. Really enjoy those moments, knowing that, as sad as it is, that they might not be there forever, but that's motivation to make the most of it while you have it. It helps me remember my priority list in life and ensure that the people I love the most don't get hurt. And there's going to be times where, maybe to some degree that's inevitable, and I don't know. I just try my best not to have it happen. So, for me, my priority list, and this is just personal to me, is God. And then Meredith and I are kind of a tie, because if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be my best self to take care of her. And then everyone else is next. And I apologize to everyone else if they don't like that order, but that is the order for me. So I follow that order as best as I can, and that's my kind of guide in life to make sure that I'm attending to that order, attending to those needs as much as I can, as well as I can, while balancing everything else. That kind of goal. But knowing that everything has a season can help, because it helps you better embrace the good times, and then it helps you weather the bad times because there's going to be another side of this. I'm going to come out of this. I would like to come out of this at least where I was or better. So that's motivation to continue to put in the work while you're in the muck and the mess, because there's going to be a time after it, and you want to be in a good position at that time. So if I work now, I can have an even better good season when that good season does come around. So learning to dance in the rain is, it sounds great, makes for a good movie, fun song, singing in the rain. But it's also a good kind of goal in life, as much as you can control it, to try to remember during the cruddy, crappy moments of life to control what you can as much as you can so you can come out of it as best as you can. But those are the 5 tips that I've learned from podcasts and books and experience that have helped me a lot. Is to, number 1, communicate. Find some support to recognize you're not alone. Make sure you don't feel alone. Number 2, prioritize sleep as much as you can. Number 3, prioritize calories. Even if you have to do liquid calories. Even if you have to eat foods that aren't typically your normal foods, that's okay. Remember, you have 70 to 80% of your total normal intake before you would even worry about storing body fat. Number 4 is to maintain the minimums. You can minimize stress by doing the minimum. You can learn more about that in podcast 1547. And then tip number 5 is just to remember that everything comes and goes. As we said, that can be a little depressing because good times are going to go, but it helps you learn to embrace them and enjoy them. And then it helps to motivate you through the bad times because you know that they're going to come to an end. There will be a way out eventually at some point. So keep working, keep pushing as best as you can so you're in the best position possible when you do come out of the storm. Awesome. Well, thank you for your patience. I know I've missed a couple podcasts, but I'm working my way back into it. If you have any questions, if you need anything, you can always reach out on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. You can scroll to the bottom of the homepage. There's a contact form. You can send me a message anytime. I'm always happy to help. I answer everybody back within 2 weeks. I appreciate everybody's messages. I appreciate when people reach out. It's fun and motivating to see the reach of the podcast. So it's just really cool. Really, really cool. So I genuinely appreciate the messages when I do get them. So thank you very much. So if you like the podcast, please share the podcast. The more people that know about it, the more people can be helped by it. If you like the podcast, you can consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on our website. And if you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.